Sometimes, life brings moments when the ground beneath your feet crumbles entirely. You might look around and see nothing but shadows, feeling a heavy weight pressing down on your chest. It is in these quiet, exhausting moments that the feeling of hitting rock bottom becomes a vivid reality. Friends, it is completely natural to feel tired when the storms of life roar too loudly. You are not alone in this profound exhaustion. Everyone experiences seasons where the leaves fall bare, leaving the branches exposed to the freezing wind. Buddhism offers a gentle light for these exact moments of deep darkness. The Dharma does not demand that you immediately stand up or force a bright smile when the heart is actively breaking. Instead, it invites you to simply breathe, to acknowledge the pain, and to know that even this profound darkness holds the hidden seeds of a new morning. When everything falls apart, the mind often races, desperately trying to piece the broken fragments back together. You might ask, why did this happen, or what did you do to deserve such a heavy burden? These questions echo in the empty spaces of loss. But the beautiful truth of the Dharma is that it does not judge your sorrow. It softly reminds you that hitting the absolute bottom gives you a solid foundation upon which you can slowly rebuild. There is a strange, quiet relief when you realize there is nowhere left to fall. The struggle to hold on to illusions finally stops. In that stillness, real healing begins. Let the mind wander back to the ancient dust of India, to a time when the Buddha walked among the common people. There was a man named Sunita, who lived a life that many would consider the absolute bottom of human existence. Sunita was an outcast, a street sweeper, tasked with clearing the withered flowers and discarded waste of the city. People avoided him, covering their faces when he walked by, treating him as if he were completely invisible, or worse, a stain on the world. Sunita carried a heart so heavy with shame, that he believed he was entirely unworthy of love, of kindness, or even of looking at the sky. He had accepted his rock bottom as a permanent prison. One early morning, as the mist still hugged the ancient city walls, Sunita was sweeping a dirty road. He looked up, and saw the Buddha walking toward him, accompanied by a large gathering of monks. Panic seized his chest. He felt too filthy, too broken, to be in the presence of such profound peace. Frantically, Sunita looked for a place to hide, pressing his back against a crumbling wall, hoping the earth would swallow him. But the Buddha did not walk past him. The Buddha stopped, standing directly in front of the trembling street sweeper. There was no judgment in those eyes, only a vast, endless ocean of compassion. The Buddha spoke to Sunita, with a voice as soft as the morning breeze, asking if he would like to leave this suffering behind, and join the monastic order. Sunita was completely stunned. He asked, how could someone so low, someone so discarded by the world, be worthy of such an invitation? The Buddha smiled gently, explaining that the waters of the ocean all taste of salt, regardless of which river they flow from. In the same way, the tears of suffering taste the same, no matter who cries them. Sunita was ordained, not because he was flawless, but precisely because he knew the deepest depths of sorrow. His rock bottom became the very rich soil from which his ultimate freedom bloomed. Friends, your current pain, your feeling of being lost in the dark, is not a punishment. It is just the soil, waiting for a new seed. When you feel completely empty, it means there is finally room for something incredibly pure to enter. The world often teaches people to fear the bottom, to constantly climb, to never show weakness. But the Dharma whispers a different, more comforting truth. It says that brokenness is often the birthplace of deep wisdom. Think of a lotus flower, beautiful and fragrant. It does not grow on polished marble floors, or in clear, sterile water. The lotus requires the dark, messy, heavy mud at the bottom of the pond to anchor its roots. Your current struggles, your exhaustion, the feeling of having nothing left, that is simply the mud. You are the lotus, gathering strength in the unseen depths. When exhaustion sets in, the most profound spiritual practice is simply allowing yourself to rest. You do not need to fight the sadness today. You do not need to figure out the rest of your life by tomorrow. The Buddha taught the beautiful art of being present, even when the present moment is deeply uncomfortable. By observing the pain, without desperately trying to push it away, the sharp edges of sorrow begin to soften. You might notice that emotions are just like passing clouds. Some clouds are bright and fluffy, while others are dark and heavy with rain. But the sky itself, your true nature, remains untouched, vast, and capable of holding everything. Sometimes, hitting rock bottom means losing a job, losing a cherished relationship, or simply losing the sense of direction you once held so tightly. In these moments of profound loss, the mind creates terrifying stories about the future. The mind says things will never get better, or that you are permanently broken, unable to ever stand tall again. But these heavy thoughts are just the shadows playing tricks on your tired soul. When the night is at its darkest, that is exactly when the stars can shine the brightest. You see, friends, the mind has a habit of magnifying sorrow, painting the future with the dark colors of the present moment. But the beautiful truth of the Dharma is that nothing in this universe remains stagnant. Every single thing, from the towering mountains to the tiny grains of sand, is in a constant state of flow. Your pain, your current sense of being entirely lost, is also subject to this universal law of change. It will not last forever, even if it feels incredibly heavy right now. Everyone, at some point, builds a towering castle of expectations. We build these castles with bricks of hope and mortar of dreams, expecting them to stand firm against the harsh winds of time. But when a storm comes, and the castle crumbles to the ground, the devastation is overwhelming. You might sit among the ruins, weeping for the beautiful structure you lost. The Dharma gently invites you to stop looking at the broken bricks, and instead, to look at the vast, open sky above the ruins. Before the castle fell, your view of the sky was limited by the walls you built. Now, with everything shattered, your vision is completely unobstructed. Rock bottom, in its own strange, painful way, clears away the obstacles, giving you a completely open horizon. Let us travel back again, to the ancient dust of India, to hear the story of a woman named Patakara. She lived a life of immense comfort, surrounded by a loving family, and abundant wealth. She had everything a person could possibly desire, to feel secure and happy in this world. But karma, friends, moves like an unpredictable river. In a matter of a few, heartbreaking days, Patakara lost her husband to a deadly snake, her two fragile babies to the cruel elements of nature, and her parents to a violent storm that collapsed their home. The sheer weight of this sudden, unimaginable loss, completely shattered her mind. She wandered the streets, devoid of any dignity, heavily burdened by a grief so deep, that ordinary people threw stones at her, fearing her madness. She had reached a rock bottom so profound, that there seemed to be no way out, no spark of hope left in her existence. She had absolutely nothing left, not even her own sanity, entirely stripped of every worldly comfort and attachment. Yet, when her wandering feet brought her to the peaceful Jetavana monastery, where the awakened one was teaching, a profound shift occurred. The assembly tried to stop her, disgusted by her disheveled appearance, but the Buddha gently told them to let her approach. He did not give her a grand philosophical lecture, nor did he judge her broken state. He simply looked at her, with eyes full of an infinite, gentle compassion, and spoke a few, quiet words, calling her back to the present moment, warmly referring to her as a sister. In that one moment of pure, unjudging acceptance, the heavy fog of her madness lifted. She realized she was in a safe harbor, a place where she did not need to pretend, or hide her massive pain. She wept uncontrollably, pouring out her unimaginable grief, and the Buddha listened quietly, wrapping her in the warm blanket of understanding. He softly reminded her that tears have flowed for lost loved ones across countless lifetimes, more than the waters of the 4 great oceans. Her profound rock bottom became the very place where she finally understood the fragile, impermanent nature of worldly attachments. Through this profound realization, stepping out from the deepest valley of despair, she eventually found an ultimate, unshakable peace. This story reminds everyone that even when the mind shatters entirely, the capacity for profound healing remains completely intact. You do not have to be strong all the time, and you certainly do not have to carry your burdens alone, hiding them behind a forced smile. When you feel exhausted, friends, it is perfectly okay to just sit quietly, allowing the tears to fall, washing away the heavy dust of your daily struggles. Society often demands that people constantly push forward, demanding success, demanding progress, demanding that you quickly get over your pain. But true healing does not operate on a strict schedule. Sometimes, the most courageous thing you can do is simply to pause, to breathe, and to gently admit that you are completely exhausted. The Dharma does not ask you to fight your feelings. It merely asks you to observe them, with the same tenderness you would offer a crying child. Consider another ancient tale, friends, about a man named Suppabutta. He was heavily afflicted with a terrible disease, forced to live as an outcast, begging for small scraps of food, completely rejected by the society around him. His daily existence was a harsh, continuous struggle, an incredibly painful rock bottom that seemed absolutely permanent. People would cross the street to avoid him, muttering harsh words, treating him as a total burden to the world. One day, hoping only to find a small, free meal, he joined a large gathering of people, sitting quietly at the very back, trying hard to remain invisible. The Buddha, while teaching the vast crowd, saw this trembling, forgotten man hiding in the shadows. Instead of focusing his attention on the rich merchants and powerful royalty sitting in the front rows, the awakened one directed the healing waters of his message straight to the fragile heart of Suppabutta. The Buddha wove words of comfort, teaching that physical suffering and societal rejection do not touch the pure, shining core of a human being. He explained that true wealth is not measured in gold, but in the peaceful clarity of a quiet mind. Suppabutta, listening intently to these gentle words, felt a profound, beautiful transformation within his chest. For the first time in his entire life, he felt truly seen, completely understood, and deeply respected as a human being. He realized that his inner worth was completely untouched by his outer poverty, or his physical afflictions. His heavy burden of shame, accumulated over years of being treated terribly, simply melted away in the warm light of the Dharma. This realization, friends, is a powerful reminder for anyone feeling discarded by the world. Your value is not determined by your bank account, your job title, or how many people applaud your successes. When you lose everything, the mind desperately searches for a new identity to cling to. It wants to label you as a failure, a disappointment, or a victim of unfair circumstances. But the profound wisdom of the Buddha teaches the concept of non-self, meaning that you are not your temporary conditions. You are not your mistakes. You are not the sadness that currently fills your heart. These are just passing weather patterns, in the vast, open sky of your awareness. Just as a dark storm cloud does not permanently stain the blue sky, your current failures do not permanently stain your true nature. Sometimes, hitting rock bottom involves the painful collapse of a cherished relationship. You might feel a crushing loneliness, believing that you will never experience deep connection again. In these silent, lonely hours, the mind plays a painful movie of past memories, over and over again, fueling the fire of regret. But friends, holding on to the past so tightly, is like trying to catch the wind in your hands. It only leaves you feeling exhausted and empty. The practice here is a gentle release. You do not have to force yourself to forget the person, or the memories. You simply need to acknowledge that the chapter has naturally closed, making way for a new, unknown journey. There is a profound beauty in the unknown, even if it feels terrifying at first. When all your familiar structures fall away, you are given a blank canvas. It takes time to gather the courage to paint again, and that is completely fine. For now, just focus on the simple, rhythmic movement of your breath. Inhale deeply, feeling the cool air entering your body, reminding you that you are still alive, still capable of experiencing this moment. Exhale slowly, imagining that you are releasing a tiny fraction of your heavy burden, letting it dissolve into the surrounding air. You do not need to figure out the grand purpose of your life today. You do not need to solve all your complicated problems by tomorrow morning. The gentle path of the Dharma is walked one simple, mindful step at a time. When you are at the absolute bottom, even taking one conscious breath is a massive victory. Celebrate these small moments of presence. When you drink a glass of water, feel the cool liquid traveling down your throat, and appreciate this tiny, refreshing sensation. When you look out the window, notice the leaves trembling softly in the breeze, realizing that nature continues its beautiful dance, regardless of human sorrow. These small, seemingly insignificant observations are the gentle anchors that keep your mind from drowning in the stormy sea of despair. They bring you back to the only place where true life exists, which is right here, in the present moment. Friends, the heavy expectations you place on yourself are often the very source of your deepest suffering. You expect yourself to always be strong, to always know the right answer, to always succeed. But to be human is to be wonderfully imperfect. It is to stumble, to fall, to get lost in the dark woods, and to eventually find your way back to the light. When you finally release the heavy burden of trying to control every outcome, you will discover a profound, beautiful sense of freedom, waiting quietly beneath the rubble. This freedom does not come from fixing everything immediately, but from accepting that things are broken right now, and choosing to breathe anyway. You see, friends, the mind is constantly traveling, either regretting the painful past, or anxiously anticipating the unseen future. When you hit the absolute bottom, the past feels like a heavy chain, and the future feels like a terrifying storm. But right here, in this exact second, you are just sitting, breathing, simply existing. In this tiny space, between one breath and the next, there is no suffering, only pure presence. It is so deeply comforting to realize that you only ever have to handle one single moment at a time. The heavy mountain of tomorrow does not need to be carried today. Let us softly step into another ancient memory, from the days of the awakened one, to explore a different kind of rock bottom. This is the story of a young man, named Penthaka. He was born into a good family, but he struggled with a mind that was incredibly slow to learn. His older brother, who was a brilliant and respected monk, brought him to the monastery, hoping to guide him on the spiritual path. But poor Penthaka could not memorize even a single, short verse of the teachings, even after spending 4 entire months, trying with all his fragile might. People whispered about his profound ignorance, laughing at his constant confusion. Eventually, his own brother, frustrated by his apparent lack of potential, told him to leave the monastery, harshly stating that he was completely useless to the spiritual community. This rejection, coming from his own flesh and blood, completely shattered his spirit. Penthaka stood alone, outside the heavy monastery gates, weeping bitterly in the early morning light. He felt entirely worthless, discarded, a total failure who belonged nowhere. This was his profound rock bottom, the painful realization that he was not smart enough, not capable enough, and simply not good enough, for the world he loved. But the Buddha, with his infinite vision, saw this broken, crying young man. The awakened one walked to the gates, gently asking Penthaka why he was standing there shedding tears. Upon hearing the sad tale of rejection, the Buddha did not agree with the brother, nor did he ask the young man to try harder to memorize complex words. Instead, the Buddha handed him a clean, purely white piece of cloth. He instructed Penthaka to simply sit in the sun, slowly rub the cloth, and quietly repeat the words, removing impurity, removing impurity. Penthaka sat down, feeling a spark of hope, and followed the simple instruction. As the hours passed, he noticed that the pure white cloth was slowly becoming dirty, stained by the sweat and dust from his own hands. In that very moment, a profound, beautiful realization blossomed in his mind. He understood that the real impurity was not physical dirt, but the heavy dust of greed, anger, and ignorance, covering the pure nature of the mind. He saw the impermanence of all things, how the clean becomes dirty, how the new becomes old. Through this incredibly simple act, guided by deep compassion, the young man who could not remember a single verse, attained the highest, ultimate wisdom. Friends, this story holds a very gentle, profound medicine for anyone feeling inadequate today. Sometimes, rock bottom is not about losing money, or facing a tragedy, but feeling that you are fundamentally flawed, or falling far behind everyone else. Society constantly measures your worth by your intelligence, your productivity, your shiny achievements. When you fail to meet these high standards, the mind attacks you, whispering that you are a failure. But the Dharma shines a totally different light on your existence. Your true worth has absolutely nothing to do with how fast you learn, or how much you achieve in the material world. You do not need to be brilliant to experience profound peace. You only need to be sincere, patient, and willing to observe your own mind. If you feel lost, simply start with the smallest, most basic action. You do not need to read heavy books, or force yourself to understand complex philosophies right now. Just like the young man with the white cloth, you can find profound awakening in the most ordinary, repetitive tasks. When you gently sweep the floor, imagine you are sweeping away the heavy dust of your worries. When you fold your clothes, feel the texture of the fabric, remaining completely present with the simple movement of your hands. These small acts of mindfulness are not a distraction from your pain, but a gentle, steady way to anchor your trembling heart. It is deeply healing to realize that the universe does not demand perfection from you. The stars do not shine perfectly, they just burn brightly. The rivers do not flow in perfectly straight lines, they curve around obstacles, naturally finding their way to the sea. You, too, are allowed to curve, to stumble, to take the long way around. When you hit a heavy roadblock, and feel completely stuck, be as gentle with yourself, as you would be with a lost, frightened friend. Speak to your own heart, with soft, encouraging words, instead of harsh, critical demands. The heavy burden you carry often comes from resisting the reality of your current situation. You wish things were different, you wish the pain would stop immediately, you wish you could go back in time, and make different choices. But fighting reality is like punching a solid, stone wall. It only breaks your own hands, leaving you more exhausted. True peace begins with radical, total acceptance. Look at your messy, painful reality, and quietly say, yes, this is how things are right now. It is deeply uncomfortable, it is incredibly sad, but it is the truth of this exact moment. By simply saying yes to the present, you stop the internal war, conserving your precious energy for the slow, gentle process of healing. Do not rush the healing process, friends. A broken bone takes time to knit back together. A deep wound requires patience and gentle care to form a scar. The deep wounds of the heart require an ocean of patience. There will be days when you feel you are making beautiful progress, and the sun seems to shine a little brighter. Then, suddenly, a memory will hit you, and you will find yourself back on the floor, weeping uncontrollably. This is not a failure, friends. Healing is not a straight line, rising smoothly upwards. It is a spiral, looping back on itself, gently revisiting the painful spots, each time with a little more wisdom, and a little more strength. When the heavy waves of sorrow return, do not panic. Simply breathe deeply, allowing the wave to wash over you, knowing that like all waves, it will eventually recede. You have survived every single difficult day that you have ever faced in your entire life. Your survival rate is completely perfect. Trust in the profound resilience that naturally resides within your human spirit. You might feel weak right now, fragile as a dry leaf in the wind, but beneath that fragility is a deep, unbreakable core. The Buddha taught that every single being possesses the pure seed of awakening, the shining Buddha nature, totally unaffected by worldly suffering. This means, friends, that no matter how far you fall, your true essence remains perfectly intact, sparkling, and deeply pure. The heavy mud of your current despair cannot stain the brilliant diamond of your inner nature. When you sit quietly, and gently direct your attention inward, you can begin to sense this quiet, untouched space. It is a place of profound stillness, where the loud noises of the world simply cannot reach. In this quiet refuge, you can rest your tired mind, gathering the soft light of awareness, to gently illuminate the dark corners of your sorrow. Let the tears fall, let the heavy sighs escape your lips, and trust the slow, beautiful unfolding of your own journey, knowing that every single step you take is guiding you back home to your own peace within the deepest chambers of your heart. You see, the world constantly tells you to run outward, searching for validation, seeking comfort in shiny objects or temporary achievements. But when the ground collapses, and all those external things are stripped away, you are forced to look inward. This inward journey, though terrifying at first, is the greatest gift of hitting the absolute bottom. It is the moment you finally stop pretending and start getting to know your true, beautiful self. Let us travel back to the ancient, quiet groves to hear a story of immense suffering and beautiful redemption. There was a young girl named Rajumala. She was a lowly servant, born into a household with a fiercely cruel mistress. Every single day, Rajumala faced harsh words, heavy beatings, and unimaginable cruelty. Her spirit was entirely crushed, and she lived in a perpetual, exhausting state of terror. For her, rock bottom was not a single event, it was her entire, agonizing existence. She truly believed she was meant to suffer forever, a completely discarded soul, in a vast, uncaring world. One early morning, completely unable to bear the heavy weight of her pain anymore, she walked into the dark, silent forest. She had decided to end her unbearable suffering, seeking the absolute only escape she thought was possible. But the awakened one, with his boundless, gentle compassion, sensed her deep despair. He walked into that very same forest, and sat peacefully beneath a large, shady tree, right where she was heading. When Rajumala saw him, radiating a quiet, gentle light, she fell to her knees, weeping uncontrollably, pouring out the agonizing tale of her daily torment. The Buddha did not offer her empty platitudes, nor did he tell her to simply endure her horrible abuse. He spoke to her, with a voice full of profound respect, a kind of respect she had never experienced in her entire, tragic life. He taught her that her current suffering was just a heavy, passing storm, not her eternal, permanent identity. He gave her a simple, beautiful meditation, teaching her to find a safe, quiet refuge within her own mind, a place where no cruel master could ever reach her. For the very first time, Rajumala felt a sense of true, unbreakable dignity. She realized her inner light was completely untouched by the heavy outer darkness. Friends, this profound story holds a gentle, comforting truth for anyone feeling entirely trapped today. You might be facing a deeply toxic environment, a heavy burden of debt, or a mind that constantly attacks you with harsh, unforgiving thoughts. You might feel, just like the young servant girl, that there is no escape, and absolutely no hope left. But please remember, your current environment, your current struggles, do not define your true, shining essence. There is a quiet, sacred space within you, that remains perfectly whole, perfectly safe, and completely untouched by the loud chaos of the world. Let us gently open another page from the ancient texts, exploring the life of a humble weaver girl. She lived in a small, dusty village, spending her long, exhausting days, working tirelessly at a heavy wooden loom. Her life was incredibly hard, filled with intense physical pain, and the constant, heavy worry of poverty. Most people looked right past her, considering her entirely unimportant, just another poor laborer, in a crowded, noisy world. But she had a profound, quiet wisdom, cultivated through the simple, mindful observation of her daily, repetitive struggles. One day, the Buddha visited her town, and a massive, wealthy crowd gathered to hear him speak. The weaver girl, desperate to hear the beautiful teachings, rushed to the gathering, but she was still carrying the heavy tools of her trade. The proud crowd pushed her away, thinking she was too lowly, too dirty, to sit among them. But the awakened one saw her pure, bright, sincere heart. He stopped the entire, massive assembly, and called this humble, exhausted girl to the very front. He asked her a series of simple, yet incredibly profound questions about the unpredictable nature of human life. He gently asked her where she came from and exactly where she was going. With a calm, peaceful voice, she replied that she did not know where she came from before this life, and she truly did not know where she was going after death. The proud, wealthy people in the crowd laughed loudly at her, thinking she was completely foolish. But the Buddha praised her, explaining to the crowd that she possessed the absolute highest, most beautiful wisdom. She deeply understood the fundamental truth of uncertainty, the profound reality that humans control very little in this vast, ever-moving universe. She found total, beautiful peace in simply not knowing, surrendering completely to the present, unfolding moment. Friends, when life completely falls apart, the tired mind desperately wants solid answers. You demand to know exactly why the tragedy happened, how long the heavy pain will last, and exactly what the unseen future holds. But the deepest, most comforting peace often comes from embracing the mystery, just like the humble, gentle weaver girl. It is perfectly okay to admit that you do not know the answers right now. You do not know how you will rebuild your shattered life. You do not know when the heavy, dark clouds will finally part. And that beautiful, honest admission is not a failure, it is a profound, deeply courageous surrender. When you stop fighting the vast uncertainty, your tired, aching muscles can finally relax. You stop wasting your precious, limited energy trying to perfectly predict a future that does not yet exist. Instead, you can gently focus on the very simple, immediate task right in front of you. Maybe today, your only task is to drink a warm cup of water, slowly and mindfully, feeling the gentle heat in your hands. Maybe your only goal is to step outside and feel the gentle warmth of the morning sun on your tired, tear-stained face. These tiny, quiet, mindful moments are the small, sturdy bricks that will eventually rebuild your beautiful, shattered world. The beautiful, ancient teachings constantly remind everyone that the darkest, coldest hour of the night is just before the brilliant, golden dawn breaks. When you feel entirely empty, you are actually becoming a pure, clear vessel, ready to receive the fresh, healing waters of deep compassion. Often, the very severe pain that completely breaks your heart is the exact, powerful force that beautifully expands your capacity to love and deeply understand others. When you have truly walked through the heavy, suffocating fires of rock bottom, you look at the world with completely different, incredibly softer eyes. You no longer judge the struggling beggar on the busy street, you no longer harshly criticize the weeping stranger, because you deeply, instantly recognize your own profound sorrow, clearly reflected in their tired faces. This shared, universal suffering is a deeply beautiful, invisible connecting thread. You are part of a vast, magnificent human family, intimately united by the shared experience of deep loss, and the shared, desperate longing for true peace. When you sit alone in the dark, feeling completely isolated, please remember that millions of beautiful hearts are intimately aching alongside yours, in this exact, quiet, fragile moment. You are breathing the very same air, walking the very same earth, and sharing the exact same, incredibly fragile human condition. Sending a soft, gentle, silent wish of peace to all those unseen, deeply suffering friends, can instantly, magically soften the heavy, sharp edges of your own personal pain. Compassion, friends, is the most powerful, profound medicine for a broken, exhausted heart. When you shift your tired focus from your own heavy burdens, to the silent suffering of others, a beautiful, tiny window opens, in the dark, heavy walls of your despair. Through that tiny, quiet window, a fresh, gentle breeze of hope begins to blow. You realize that even in your most broken, exhausted state, you still have the profound, beautiful capacity to offer kindness to the world. You can still offer a gentle, warm smile to a passing stranger. You can still offer a soft, listening ear to a deeply troubled friend. You can still gently water a thirsty plant, honoring the quiet, resilient force of life. These small, seemingly insignificant acts of pure love are the quiet, steady steps, leading you out of the deepest, darkest valley, guiding your weary soul toward the gentle, glowing warmth of a completely new, beautiful morning. Friends, life often pushes people into a state of immense pressure. You might feel that you have to constantly strive to climb out of your dark valley as quickly as possible. The heavy expectations of society tell you to fight back, to conquer your sorrow, and to prove your ultimate strength to everyone around you. But this constant, fierce fighting often leads to a much deeper, more profound exhaustion. When you intensely fight the quicksand of despair, you only sink deeper into the heavy, suffocating mud. Let us softly turn the pages of ancient history to explore the deeply moving story of a young man named Sona. Sona grew up in a very wealthy, highly sheltered environment, surrounded by immense luxury and constant physical comfort. His hands and feet were so incredibly soft and delicate that he had never known a single day of harsh physical labor. However, a deep, quiet yearning for true peace led him away from his luxurious home to join the peaceful monastic order, guided by the Awakened One. Sona, desperately wanting to reach ultimate freedom, practiced with an incredibly fierce, unrelenting intensity. He completely refused to sleep, he refused to rest, and he spent his entire days and nights constantly walking in deep, unbroken meditation. He pushed his soft, delicate body far beyond its natural limits, until his fragile feet cracked and bled profusely, staining the dusty walking path with his own profound pain. He reached an absolute, devastating rock bottom. His physical body was entirely broken, his mind was deeply exhausted, and true peace felt completely unreachable. Sitting alone, in the dark, silent forest, Sona wept bitterly. He felt like a complete, miserable failure, believing that all his intense suffering had yielded absolutely nothing. He thought about giving up his spiritual journey, entirely defeated by his own, overwhelming efforts. It was in this deeply painful, quiet moment of surrender, that the Buddha, with his infinite, gentle wisdom, approached the weeping, exhausted monk. The Awakened One did not praise Sona for his extreme, self-destructive efforts, nor did he scold him for wanting to give up his noble path. Instead, the Buddha asked a very gentle, simple question about Sona's past life as a highly skilled musician. He asked Sona, if the strings of a musical lute were wound far too tightly, would the instrument produce a beautiful, harmonious sound? Sona, deeply understanding the nature of music, replied that the tightly wound strings would snap immediately under the heavy pressure. The Buddha then asked, if the strings were left far too loose, hanging softly, would they create any music at all? Sona shook his head, saying that loose strings remain entirely silent, completely unable to carry a melody. The Buddha smiled gently, explaining the profound, beautiful middle way. The strings must be tuned perfectly, not too tight, and not too loose, to produce the most beautiful, healing music. In the exact same way, human effort must be balanced with gentle, loving self-care. Pushing yourself into total, physical and mental exhaustion does not lead to peace, it only leads to a broken, aching heart. Sona suddenly realized that his fierce desperation to escape his suffering was the very thing creating his massive pain. He learned to soften his grip, to practice with a gentle, patient heart, and he eventually found the profound, unshakable peace he had been desperately seeking. Friends, this beautiful, ancient story holds a very vital, comforting lesson for anyone struggling in the dark today. When your life falls apart, your instinct might be to work twice as hard, to force things back to normal, to aggressively fix every single broken piece. But true, deep healing cannot be aggressively forced. It is a slow, quiet, natural unfolding, much like a beautiful flower blooming in the gentle spring rain. If you try to pry the soft petals open with your rough hands, you will only destroy the fragile flower. You must give yourself the quiet permission to simply exist, without constantly trying to fix yourself. There is a deeply profound, healing magic in simply allowing things to be broken for a little while. The world will not completely end if you decide to rest your tired eyes for one quiet afternoon. The sun will still rise, the rivers will still flow, and the vast, beautiful universe will continue its peaceful dance, even if you step back and do absolutely nothing. You do not have to be the strong, unyielding pillar for everyone around you, every single second of the day. It is perfectly fine to let the heavy walls crumble, and to sit quietly amidst the dusty ruins of your former expectations. When you stop forcing the healing process, a very soft, beautiful stillness begins to enter your heart. You begin to notice the tiny, quiet miracles that exist right alongside your massive pain. You might notice the gentle, rhythmic sound of the rain tapping softly against your windowpane. You might feel the comforting, soft warmth of a heavy blanket wrapped around your shivering shoulders. These small, sensory experiences bring your wandering, anxious mind safely back to the present moment. They gently remind you that while the grand, sweeping narrative of your life might feel deeply tragic right now, this exact, singular moment is completely safe and beautifully calm. Let us slowly open another door to a beautiful, little-known story from the ancient days. There was a highly respected, wealthy merchant named Anathapindika, who was famous for his boundless, incredible generosity. He gave away all his massive wealth, supporting the poor, the sick, and the spiritual community, expecting absolutely nothing in return. But the unpredictable, constantly turning wheel of life brought a severe, heavy economic crisis to his doorstep. His entire business collapsed, his vast wealth vanished entirely, and he found himself plunged into total, suffocating poverty. He hit a profound, terrifying rock bottom, eating only a few dry scraps of simple food. Despite his deep, heartbreaking poverty, Anathapindika never lost his gentle, pure heart. He continued to offer whatever tiny morsel he had to those who were even hungrier than him. But inside, his mind was deeply troubled and intensely heavy. He felt deeply ashamed that he could no longer provide grand, beautiful offerings to the awakened one and the large monastic community. He truly felt his worth was completely tied to his material wealth. When the Buddha visited his humble, broken home, Anathapindika wept quietly, apologizing profusely for only having a handful of dry, tasteless grains to offer his beloved teacher. The Buddha, looking at the weeping, impoverished merchant, spoke with a voice full of boundless, deep reverence. He explained that the true value of a gift is never measured by its material cost, or its shiny appearance in the world. The ultimate, most beautiful offering, is the pure, shining intention of a deeply sincere heart. The Buddha told him that offering a single, dry grain of rice, with a completely open, selfless mind, is far more magnificent than offering a massive mountain of pure gold, with a proud, attached ego. Anathapindika realized that his sudden poverty had not diminished his true value, in the slightest. This beautiful realization, friends, is a powerful, protective shield against the harsh, critical voices of the modern world. Society often equates personal failure with a total lack of human worth. If you lose your prestigious job, your large home, or your shining social status, people might look at you differently. You might even look at yourself differently, feeling entirely empty and totally defeated. But the Dharma gently washes away these false, heavy illusions. Your true essence is exactly like the clear, open sky, totally untouched by the passing, dark clouds of financial ruin or deep social rejection. When you truly, deeply understand this, rock bottom transforms from a dark, terrifying prison into a profound, sacred space of spiritual awakening. You finally realize that the things you lost were never truly yours to begin with. They were merely borrowed, temporary gifts from the vast, constantly changing universe. This deep realization of impermanence is not meant to cause despair, but to offer a profound, unshakable liberation. When you no longer cling tightly to the fragile, breaking things of the world, you become incredibly light and totally free. You can walk through the heavy storms of life with a peaceful, quiet smile, knowing that your true home is safely hidden within your own, quiet awareness. Embracing impermanence allows you to deeply appreciate the present moment, without constantly fearing the unknown future. When you drink a warm cup of tea, you know the warmth will eventually fade, so you savor every single, soothing sip, with your entire being. When you spend time with a loved one, you know the moment is entirely fleeting, so you listen to their soft voice, with complete, undivided attention. This profound, mindful presence turns very ordinary, mundane experiences into deeply sacred, beautiful moments of pure joy. Friends, as you slowly navigate the dark, complex maze of your current sorrow, please remember to be deeply, radically kind to yourself. When a harsh, judgmental thought arises, gently catch it, like a fragile falling leaf, and let it float softly away on the wind. Replace the harsh criticism with a soft, comforting whisper of pure love. Tell your tired, aching heart that it is completely okay to be hurting right now. Acknowledge your profound bravery for simply continuing to breathe in the face of such overwhelming, crushing difficulty. Every single morning you wake up and choose to face the heavy world again is a massive, beautiful triumph of the human spirit. Do not let anyone tell you exactly how long you should grieve or how quickly you should heal. Your healing timeline is totally unique, written in the quiet, sacred language of your own soul. Some days, you will take 3 strong, beautiful steps forward, and other days, you might take 2 slow, painful steps backward. This gentle, swaying dance is the completely natural rhythm of deep recovery. Honor every single step of your journey, whether you are standing on a high, sunny mountain peak, or crawling slowly through a dark, dusty valley. You are constantly moving, constantly evolving, and constantly gathering a quiet, invisible strength. The deep, heavy silence of rock bottom provides a rare, beautiful opportunity to closely examine the deep roots of your own suffering. When the loud, distracting noise of success and busyness fades away, you can finally hear the quiet, subtle whispers of your own mind. You might discover that many of your past choices were driven by a deep, unseen fear or a desperate, hungry desire for external approval. Seeing these deep, hidden patterns is not a reason for heavy self-blame, but a beautiful, profound moment of total clarity. Awareness is the brilliant, shining light that gently dissolves the dark, heavy shadows of past mistakes. With this new, profound clarity, you can slowly begin to plant completely different, healthy seeds for your unknown future. You can choose to prioritize true, inner peace over empty, external validation. You can gently choose to cultivate a deep, unshakable compassion for yourself and for every single living being sharing this difficult, beautiful world. These quiet, mindful choices are the strong, resilient roots of a completely new, beautiful life, slowly taking hold in the dark, heavy soil of your deepest pain. As you gently water these new seeds with your tears, and warm them with your quiet patience, they will inevitably sprout and reach gracefully toward the bright, warm sunlight of the vast, open sky. When you finally break through the heavy soil, friends, you will look back at the dark mud, not with anger, but with a profound, quiet gratitude. The dirt, the heavy pressure, and the complete darkness were never your enemies. They were the essential, silent protectors, holding you safely, while you gathered the necessary strength to beautifully bloom. This is the profound, hidden secret of hitting the absolute bottom. The very things that feel like they are crushing you are actually molding you, shaping you into a much softer, deeply resilient being. You see, when everything is going perfectly, the human mind tends to become quite proud. People start believing that they are completely in control of the vast universe, and that their worldly success is solely due to their own brilliance. But when a sudden, heavy storm sweeps away all those achievements, the ego is completely shattered. This shattering, while incredibly painful, is truly the greatest spiritual gift. It gently forces you to kneel, to touch the warm earth, and to remember your deep, intimate connection with the fragile, beautiful web of life. Let us gently travel to another deeply touching moment from the ancient, dusty roads of India. There was a remarkable, elegant woman named Visakha, who was known throughout the land for her incredible generosity and her deep, unshakable faith. She had a massive, bustling family with many children and countless joyful grandchildren, whom she loved with a fierce, burning passion. Her entire world revolved around the bright laughter and the glowing, smiling faces of her vast family. But one quiet day, the cold, unpredictable shadow of death fell upon her beautiful, busy home. Her absolute favorite granddaughter, a bright, deeply loving child named Dutta, suddenly fell ill, and tragically passed away. Visakha, despite her profound spiritual knowledge, and years of listening to the teachings, was completely consumed by an ocean of dark, suffocating grief. She could not eat, she could not sleep, and she wandered the quiet streets, with her clothes completely soaked from the heavy rain, and her long hair terribly tangled, completely ignoring her usual, highly dignified appearance. She had hit a devastating, emotional rock bottom, entirely lost in the heavy, blinding fog of her immense sorrow. Still weeping bitterly, she stumbled into the peaceful, quiet monastery, desperately seeking the comforting presence of the awakened one. The Buddha, seeing this highly respected, wealthy woman, completely undone by her raw pain, did not tell her to simply stop crying. He did not recite dry, cold philosophical rules about the strict nature of impermanence. Instead, he welcomed her with a soft, incredibly warm gaze, and asked her a deeply gentle, very unexpected question. He softly asked Visakha if she would like to have as many children, and as many beautiful grandchildren, as there were people living in the entire, massive city of Savatthi. Visakha, wiping her wet, tear-stained face, quickly nodded, imagining the profound, incredible joy of having thousands of loved ones, filling her grand home with endless, sweet laughter. The Buddha smiled softly, and asked another, very gentle question. He quietly inquired, how many people in that massive, crowded city, pass away every single day? Visakha paused, thinking deeply, and softly replied, that many people die every single day, without fail. The Buddha then gently guided her, to a profound, heart-opening realization. He calmly explained, that if she truly loved that many people, she would be weeping at sad funerals, every single day, of her entire life. Her heavy, hot tears, would never dry, and her aching heart, would never find a single moment of quiet peace. Through this beautifully simple, deeply profound conversation, Visakha suddenly understood the heavy, double-edged sword of worldly attachment. She realized that the deep, beautiful love she felt was naturally, deeply intertwined with the inevitable, sharp pain of loss. The awakened one gently taught her that those who have 100 dear ones carry 100 heavy sorrows, and those who have absolutely no grasping attachments have absolutely no burning sorrows. This beautiful story, everyone, is not meant to tell you to completely stop loving your family, or to lock yourself away from deep human connections. That would be a very cold, deeply lonely way to live, avoiding the warmth of the world. The Dharma is gently reminding you to love everyone with a completely open, ungrasping heart. When you hold on to people, or comfortable situations, far too tightly, you unknowingly strangle the beautiful, natural flow of life. You create a heavy, anxious fear, constantly terrified of losing the very things you hold so dear. But when you love with an open hand, fully appreciating the sweet presence of your loved ones, without fiercely demanding that they stay forever, you find a profound, beautiful freedom, even amidst the deep, tearing pain of worldly loss. Friends, when you are sitting in the dark valley of rock bottom, your mind loves to torture you, by playing old memories on a continuous, painful loop. You remember the warm, bright days, when you felt safe, when you felt deeply loved, or when your career was beautifully blossoming. You compare that bright, shining past, to your current, dark reality, and a heavy, sinking feeling of despair, completely washes over your tired soul. But please remember, memories are just like faded, delicate paintings, hanging in the dusty gallery of your mind. They are not the actual, living reality. You cannot climb inside a painting, and live there forever. You must gently, kindly step back into the breathing, moving present moment, no matter how terribly uncomfortable it feels right now. When you catch yourself fiercely longing for the past, gently take a deep, slow breath. Feel the cool, fresh air filling your lungs, and softly remind yourself that this single breath is the only real, tangible thing you truly possess. The past is a closed book, and the future is an entirely unwritten page. Your only point of true, incredible power exists right here, exactly where you are sitting. Let us softly open another gentle story, about a deeply devoted monk, named Vakali. He was incredibly drawn to the Buddha, but not initially for the deep, profound wisdom of the teachings. Vakali was totally, completely mesmerized by the physical beauty and the serene, glowing presence of the awakened one. He would spend his entire days just sitting quietly, staring at the Buddha, completely forgetting to practice meditation, entirely ignoring his own vital spiritual journey. He thought that just being near this physical perfection was enough to bring him peace. But eventually, the heavy, undeniable law of nature caught up with Vakali. He fell terribly ill, struck by a severe, agonizing disease that left him completely bedridden, incredibly weak, and totally unable to even stand on his own 2 feet. His physical strength vanished, his body was racked with intense, burning pain, and worse of all, he could no longer walk to the peaceful assembly to gaze upon the beautiful face of his beloved teacher. Lying in his dark, lonely room, Vakali hit his own, deeply personal rock bottom. He felt entirely useless, deeply ashamed of his broken, failing body, believing that his entire life had been a complete, total waste. The intense physical pain, combined with the crushing mental anguish of feeling totally separated from the Buddha, drove him to a dark, terrifying edge. He decided, in his absolute despair, that he wanted to end his own life, completely unable to bear the heavy, suffocating burden of his useless existence anymore. But the awakened one, with his boundless, gentle awareness, knew exactly what was happening in Vakali's deeply troubled mind. The Buddha traveled to Vakali's humble dwelling, walking quietly into the dark, sick room. When Vakali saw the Buddha, he desperately tried to force his weak, broken body off the small bed, wanting to respectfully bow, despite his agonizing, sharp pain. The Buddha gently stopped him, telling him to simply lie still, and softly rest his tired bones. Vakali, weeping openly, expressed his deep, bitter regret, crying that he was totally useless, and deeply sad that he could no longer look at the magnificent form of the awakened one. The Buddha, looking at him with immense, tender compassion, spoke very direct, incredibly powerful words. He asked Vakali, what good is there in looking at this fragile, decaying physical body, which is naturally subject to sickness, old age, and inevitable death? The Buddha softly explained, that whoever truly sees the Dharma, truly sees the Buddha, and whoever clearly sees the Buddha, truly sees the Dharma. In that profound, completely quiet moment, the heavy, blinding veil of ignorance, lifted from Vakali's exhausted mind. He realized, that true, unshakable refuge, is never found in external forms, not even in the physical body of a fully enlightened being. He finally understood, that the profound, shining truth, was completely accessible to him, right there on his painful sickbed. His broken, failing body, was no longer a heavy, shameful trap, but a very clear, powerful teacher, showing him the absolute truth of impermanence. By deeply accepting his physical decline, and turning his sharp attention inward to the eternal, peaceful truth of the teachings, Vakali let go of his intense, heavy clinging. He found a sudden, breathtaking sense of inner liberation, completely transcending his physical agony, reaching a state of pure, undisturbed peace, just before his earthly life naturally ended. This deeply moving story, friends, carries a very gentle, soothing balm, for anyone facing the terrifying rock bottom of physical illness, or the painful, slow loss of their physical abilities. When your body fails you, it is incredibly easy to feel entirely betrayed, entirely worthless, and completely angry at the vast universe. Society constantly glorifies youth, perfect health, and endless physical energy, leaving those who are sick or aging, feeling like discarded, broken vessels. But the Dharma, completely reverses this shallow, worldly perspective. Your magnificent worth is not tied to how fast you can run, how flawlessly beautiful your face appears, or how many hours you can tirelessly work. Your true, pure essence is the quiet, observing awareness that watches the body change without ever being touched by the sickness itself. When you are lying in bed, feeling deeply exhausted, gently place a warm hand over your own heart. Feel the steady, rhythmic beating, and realize the profound, quiet miracle that your body is still trying so hard to gently sustain your precious life. Instead of being fiercely angry at your pain, try to send a soft, warm wave of gratitude to your completely exhausted, deeply tired cells. Speak gently to your own body, treating it like a very dear, sick friend who simply needs rest, rather than harsh, demanding criticism. Friends, hitting rock bottom strips away all the shiny, artificial layers you have carefully built around yourself. It forces you to drop the heavy, exhausting mask of perfection that you wear for the busy world. You no longer have the energy to pretend that everything is absolutely fine. And in this raw, naked vulnerability, there is a very strange, profound kind of beauty. When you are completely broken open, you become incredibly authentic. You speak your quiet truth, without fearing judgment, because you truly feel you have absolutely nothing left to lose. This pure authenticity acts like a powerful, invisible magnet, drawing truly kind, deeply compassionate people into your bruised, fragile life. You will slowly notice that superficial friendships quietly fade away, while genuine, warm souls step gently into your dark space, simply offering to sit quietly with you in the heavy silence. Treasure these quiet, gentle souls, friends. They are the earthly messengers of deep compassion. But even more importantly, deeply treasure the quiet, gentle presence that is growing within your own, tired heart. You are slowly, beautifully becoming your own best friend. When you sit in the quiet darkness, without constantly rushing to distract yourself with loud noises, or endless scrolling on a bright screen, you start to hear the very soft, deeply wise voice of your own intuition. This inner voice does not yell or harshly demand. It softly whispers, gently guiding you toward small, healing actions. It might quietly tell you to go outside and look at the vast, silent moon. It might softly suggest that you drink a warm, comforting cup of herbal tea. It might simply ask you to close your heavy eyes and take one, long, deeply soothing breath. Listen very closely to these tiny, gentle nudges. They are the soft, glowing breadcrumbs, leading you out of the dark, dense forest of despair. You do not need a massive, grand plan for your entire life right now. You only need to know the very next, smallest, most gentle step. Sometimes, simply taking a warm, cleansing shower, and washing the heavy, tired dust off your skin, is a monumental, deeply victorious act of self-love. Sometimes, gently folding a single piece of clothing, brings a tiny, quiet sense of order, to a completely chaotic, deeply confusing day. Celebrate these very small, quiet victories, with a soft, gentle smile. You are completely rebuilding your magnificent spirit, not with massive, heavy stones, but with tiny, gentle grains of soft sand. There is a profound, deeply comforting truth, quietly hidden in the rhythm of the natural world. Look at the ancient, deeply rooted trees, standing firmly in the quiet forest. In the freezing, harsh winter, they lose absolutely all their beautiful leaves. They stand completely bare, entirely exposed to the freezing, biting wind, looking as though they are completely dead, entirely lifeless. This is the tree's silent, necessary rock bottom. But deep inside the dark, heavy trunk, completely hidden from the visible world, the vital, glowing life force, is quietly, patiently gathering its profound strength. The tree is not fiercely anxiously worrying about whether the warm spring will ever return. It simply rests, deeply trusting the ancient, unbreakable cycle of nature. It profoundly knows that the harsh, freezing darkness is just a temporary, passing phase. You, friends, are exactly like that ancient, deeply resilient tree. Your current sorrow, your deep, heavy exhaustion, is just your personal, emotional winter. Your beautiful, colorful leaves have fallen away, leaving you feeling entirely bare, and deeply vulnerable to the cold winds of life. But deep within your completely quiet, resting heart, your brilliant, unbreakable life force, is still glowing, gently waiting for the right moment to rise again. Do not rush your quiet, necessary winter. Do not angrily demand that your fragile branches bloom, while the cold snow is still falling heavily. Give yourself the profound, gentle permission to simply rest, to be completely quiet, and to patiently gather your internal warmth. The bright, gentle spring will inevitably return, naturally coaxing soft, new green buds from your tired, resting branches. When the heavy clouds finally begin to gently part, allowing a single, warm ray of golden sunlight to touch your tear-stained face, you will feel a profound, quiet shift within your soul. You will realize that you survived the absolute worst, darkest storm, and you are still standing, still breathing, still fully capable of experiencing deep, profound love. The deep scars you carry, from your painful time at the absolute bottom, will not be ugly marks of shame. They will be beautiful, glowing badges of immense courage. They will softly tell a very silent, powerful story, of a human spirit, that was totally, completely broken down, yet quietly chose, to slowly, beautifully piece itself back together, using the gentle, golden glue of pure compassion. As you slowly walk forward, taking gentle, mindful steps away from the heavy wreckage, you will notice that your heavy burdens suddenly feel a little lighter. You are no longer carrying the immense, crushing weight of other people's harsh expectations. You are no longer dragging the heavy, rusty chains of your own past regrets. You are stepping softly, breathing deeply, completely attuned to the gentle, flowing rhythm of the present moment. You will begin to find profound, immense joy in the simplest, most ordinary things. A simple, warm bowl of rice will taste incredibly sweet. A quiet, gentle breeze against your cheek will feel like a soft, loving embrace from the vast universe. You will deeply understand that true, lasting happiness was never hidden in massive, worldly success, but was always quietly waiting for you, in the simple, beautiful stillness of a peaceful mind. The profound, ancient teachings of the Buddha are deeply infused with this gentle, liberating hope. They constantly, softly remind you that you are not permanently broken, you are simply deeply, profoundly in transition. The painful rock bottom you hit was just the very hard, solid surface you needed to softly push against, in order to gently swim back up, toward the clear, beautiful light. Every single tear you shed has gently watered the seeds of your own, deep wisdom. Every heavy, agonizing sigh has slowly cleared the dusty space for a completely fresh, peaceful breath. You are a deeply magnificent, incredibly resilient being, entirely capable of transforming your heaviest, darkest mud into the most magnificent, fragrant lotus flower. Gently trust this beautiful, natural process, entirely trusting your own, deep, quiet strength, as you continue to softly walk, step by gentle step, on your beautiful, unfolding path. This gentle path, friends, is never completely straight, nor is it always perfectly smooth. There will be days, when the heavy fog returns, softly rolling over your fragile heart, making you feel completely lost, once again. But please remember, feeling lost for a moment, does not mean you have failed, or that your beautiful healing has suddenly stopped. It merely means you are a deeply sensitive human being, navigating a vast, highly unpredictable world. When you stumble on a hidden, sharp stone, and fall back into the dusty earth, do not be harsh or fiercely critical of your tired body. The earth is always there, quietly waiting, ready to gently hold you, no matter how many times you fall. You can simply lie there, feeling the cool, solid ground, and take a long, deeply comforting breath, before slowly, carefully deciding to stand up again. Let us gently step back, into the ancient, quiet groves, to listen to the beautiful, profound story of Queen Kima. Kima was known, across the entire, vast kingdom, for her breathtaking, absolutely flawless physical beauty. Her radiant skin, her shining hair, and her perfect, graceful form, were deeply praised by everyone who saw her. Because she received endless, glowing compliments, her entire sense of worth, her entire fragile identity, became completely entangled in her temporary physical appearance. She had built a massive, golden fortress around her beautiful youth, terrified of the invisible, creeping shadow of inevitable old age. She actively avoided visiting the awakened one, because she had heard that he frequently spoke about the fading nature of all things, a truth she deeply, frantically feared. Her husband, however, deeply wished for her to experience the profound, quiet peace of the Dharma. He gently arranged for her to visit the beautiful, highly peaceful bamboo grove, where the Buddha was residing. When Kima finally arrived, stepping softly onto the cool, shaded paths, the Buddha, with his boundless, gentle wisdom, knew exactly what her tired, anxious heart truly needed. As she approached, he quietly manifested a stunning, radiant illusion of a young maiden, even more flawlessly beautiful than Kima herself, gently fanning the awakened one. Kima was completely mesmerized, deeply captivated by the breathtaking, glowing beauty of this mysterious girl. But then, as Kima watched closely, the Buddha caused the beautiful illusion to slowly, tragically age, right before her very eyes. The young maiden's radiant, smooth skin, slowly began to wrinkle, her shining, dark hair, turned entirely white, and her graceful, upright posture, crumbled into a fragile, trembling hunch. The beautiful girl, completely lost her youthful glow, lost her strong teeth, and eventually, fell heavily to the ground, passing away into quiet dust. Kima stood completely frozen, her heart pounding heavily in her chest. In that single, breathtaking moment, she experienced a profound, completely devastating rock bottom. The massive, golden fortress of her vanity, completely collapsed into dust. She instantly realized, with a deep, piercing clarity, that her own flawless beauty, the very thing she valued above all else, was destined for the exact same, completely unavoidable fate. This sudden, absolute collapse of her identity, friends, was not a cruel punishment, but a profound, beautifully liberating gift. The Buddha, seeing her deeply shaken, completely awakened heart, spoke softly to her, about the vast, beautiful freedom, that comes when you stop clinging to highly fragile, fading things. Kima instantly let go of her heavy, exhausting vanity, and found a pure, unshakable peace, totally independent of her physical form. Her rock bottom, the terrifying realization of her own decay, became the exact, beautiful doorway to her ultimate, eternal freedom. Friends, many people today build their entire, fragile identities around things that are destined to eventually fade away. You might build your worth on a highly prestigious job, a heavy bank account, or the constant, fleeting approval of people around you. When you lose that prestigious job, or when that heavy bank account empties, you feel exactly like Queen Kima, watching the beautiful maiden wither away. You feel entirely empty, completely lost, believing that your very self has been completely destroyed. But the beautiful, gentle truth of the Dharma whispers softly that you are so much more than your temporary, worldly labels. You are not your shiny job title, you are not the numbers in a bank, and you are definitely not the fading, delicate reflection you see in the mirror. When these heavy, external things fall away, dragging you down to the cold, dusty bottom, they are actually doing you a massive, hidden favor. They are gently forcing you to discover the pure, untouched, shining essence that remains perfectly whole, deep within your quiet heart. Finding this quiet, untouched space requires a profound, gentle kind of honesty. It asks you to stop running, to stop constantly distracting your tired mind, and to simply sit quietly with your deep, uncomfortable feelings. Let us softly turn the page to another highly moving, deeply ancient story about a man named Baiya. Baiya was a highly successful, very wealthy merchant who sailed the vast, unpredictable oceans, trading expensive, beautiful goods. But one day, a terrifying, massive storm completely shattered his strong ship. Baiya lost absolutely everything. His expensive goods, his brave crew, and all his heavy gold, sank to the dark, freezing bottom of the sea. Baiya barely survived, washing up on a foreign, sandy shore, entirely naked, completely exhausted, and deeply terrified. Having absolutely nothing left, not even a single, torn piece of cloth, he desperately wrapped himself in thick, rough bark, peeled from a nearby tree, and began to slowly wander, looking for simple, dry food. When the townspeople saw him, wearing tree bark, looking completely detached from worldly goods, they completely misunderstood his situation. They thought he was a highly advanced, deeply enlightened saint, who had intentionally given up all earthly comforts. They offered him delicious food, deep respect, and very comfortable shelter. Baiya, feeling entirely broken, and deeply desperate for safety, quietly accepted their praise, slowly convincing himself that he truly was a great, holy saint. He built a completely fake, incredibly fragile identity, to hide his deep, overwhelming shame, and total, devastating loss. But deep down, in the quiet, lonely hours of the night, Baiya knew he was living a heavy, terrifying lie. His rock bottom was not just losing his vast wealth, it was losing his own, genuine truth. One night, a wise, unseen spirit gently whispered to him, pointing out his heavy deception, urging him to seek the true, awakened one, for genuine, lasting peace. Baiya was instantly struck by a massive, overwhelming sense of urgency. He realized that life is incredibly short, and living a false, comfortable lie is a terrible, tragic waste. He ran continuously, without ever stopping to rest, traveling a massive distance, until he finally found the Buddha, peacefully walking through a busy, crowded street, gently gathering alms. Baiya, completely breathless, and deeply frantic, threw himself at the Buddha's feet, begging fiercely for a teaching, right there in the dusty, noisy street. The Buddha gently asked him to wait, as it was not the proper time, but Baiya was deeply terrified of dying, before hearing the truth. After Baiya pleaded 3 times, the Buddha stopped, looking at this desperate, heavily burdened man, with immense, deep compassion. The Buddha gave him a highly brief, incredibly powerful teaching. He softly instructed Baiya, that when he sees something, he should simply see it, without adding heavy judgments. When he hears a sound, he should merely hear it, without attaching complicated, anxious stories. In the seen, there must only be the seen, in the heard, only the heard. Upon hearing these simple, perfectly clear words, Baiya instantly let go of his entire, heavy burden. He stopped spinning the massive, complex webs of his fake identity, he stopped deeply regretting his sunken ship, and he stopped desperately clinging to the praise of the confused townspeople. He simply stood there, entirely present, completely awake, observing the busy street, without a single, heavy thought of judgment, or anxious fear. He found ultimate, profound liberation, right there in the dusty street, simply by learning to gently observe reality, exactly as it is. Friends, this deeply beautiful story holds a very powerful, healing medicine for your tired, aching heart today. When you hit the absolute bottom, your deeply exhausted mind constantly creates terrible, heavy stories. You do not just feel the raw, simple pain of a loss, you add a massive, agonizing narrative to it. You tell yourself that you will never recover, that you are permanently broken, that the entire, vast universe is fiercely conspiring against you. These heavy, anxious stories are what truly cause your deepest, most suffocating suffering. The Dharma gently invites you to follow Baiya's profound example. When you feel a deep, heavy sadness, simply notice the sadness, exactly as it is. Feel the tightness in your chest, feel the hot tears behind your eyes, but gently refuse to add a terrifying, complex story to it. Say quietly to yourself, right now, there is sadness, and that is completely okay. Do not say, I am a very sad, totally broken person, who will never find happiness again. Just gently observe the raw feeling, like a dark, heavy cloud, slowly passing across a vast, empty sky. When you strip away the heavy, complicated stories, the actual, raw pain becomes surprisingly manageable. It becomes just a pure, physical sensation, a passing, natural wave of energy, in your deeply resilient body. You discover that you are completely capable of sitting quietly with your pain, holding it gently, just like a mother, holding a crying, upset child, without fiercely panicking, or desperately trying to throw the child away. This gentle, observant practice brings a beautiful, quiet spaciousness into your highly cluttered, deeply anxious mind. You begin to notice that there is actually a vast, peaceful distance between you and your heavy thoughts. You are not your dark thoughts, you are the quiet, peaceful sky in which they temporarily appear. When you deeply realize this, rock bottom loses its terrifying, suffocating grip. You can sit amidst the broken, dusty pieces of your life, and still feel a profound, quiet sense of safety. You know that no matter what terrible things happen in the external world, your internal, quiet refuge remains perfectly untouched, completely whole, and deeply serene. As you slowly, gently navigate this quiet space, you might feel the urge to completely isolate yourself, hiding away from the noisy, demanding world. Taking quiet time for yourself is a deeply necessary, beautiful part of healing. But please, friends, do not let your temporary retreat turn into a permanent, heavily guarded prison. The human heart is fundamentally designed to softly connect with others. When you feel a tiny, gentle spark of energy return, try to softly reach out to the world around you. You do not need to attend loud, exhausting gatherings, or pretend to be wildly happy. A simple, quiet conversation with a very understanding friend can be a massive, healing balm for your tired soul. When you share your deep, vulnerable truth with someone who truly listens, something incredibly magical happens. Your heavy burden instantly becomes a little lighter, and the deep, cold isolation begins to slowly melt away. You will be deeply surprised to discover how many people have walked through their own, terrifying dark valleys, perfectly understanding the exact, heavy language of your sorrow. The awakened one constantly emphasized the profound, beautiful importance of a supportive, spiritual community known as the Sangha. Surrounding yourself with gentle, kind-hearted people who gently encourage your healing is like placing a fragile, recovering plant in a warm, sunny greenhouse. But even if you feel completely alone right now, without a single, understanding friend nearby, please know that you are deeply, intimately connected to the vast, beautiful web of all living things. When you gently sit in a quiet park, breathing the fresh, cool air, you are silently exchanging life with the ancient, deeply rooted trees. When you softly watch a tiny, busy ant carrying a heavy crumb across the dusty path, you are witnessing the same, profound life force that pulses quietly in your own veins. You are never truly alone in this magnificent, deeply woven universe. The gentle wind, softly brushing your tired face, is a quiet, loving caress from the world, reminding you that you absolutely belong here. Take profound, gentle comfort in nature, friends. The natural world is a highly perfect, deeply silent teacher of profound resilience. Look at a gentle, flowing river. When it hits a massive, heavy boulder, it does not fiercely argue, it does not become deeply depressed, and it does not desperately try to push the heavy rock away. The water simply yields, gracefully curving around the obstacle, quietly finding a brand new, unexpected path forward. The river knows that its ultimate, beautiful destination, the vast, welcoming ocean, is never truly lost, no matter how many heavy rocks block its current path. You too can softly learn to be exactly like the gentle, yielding water. When a massive, unexpected obstacle completely shatters your plans, gently dropping you to the dusty bottom, do not waste your precious, limited energy, fiercely fighting the unchangeable reality. Softly yield, take a deep, slow breath, and gently ask yourself, how can I softly flow around this heavy pain? The path forward might look completely different than the beautiful, sunny path you originally planned. It might be narrower, it might be darker, and it might require you to gently leave behind some heavy, exhausting baggage. But it will still lead you to a vast, peaceful ocean of deep understanding, if you simply keep flowing, one gentle, mindful drop at a time. Friends, the heavy, crushing feeling of rock bottom often tricks you into believing that your life is entirely over. But a very wise, gentle perspective reveals that it is actually a completely fresh, brand new beginning. When your hands are completely empty, stripped of all the heavy things you used to fiercely hold, they are finally, completely free, to gently receive something new. Think of a farmer, preparing a field for a new, beautiful harvest. Before planting the fresh, tiny seeds, he must completely tear up the old, hardened soil, pulling out all the stubborn, deeply rooted weeds. This violent, disruptive plowing is exactly what rock bottom does to your tired, cluttered mind. It completely tears up the hardened, stubborn habits, deeply uproots the false, exhausting beliefs, and leaves the soil of your heart completely soft, incredibly vulnerable, and totally ready for new, magnificent growth. The heavy tears you shed in the dark are the exact, pure water needed to gently nourish this freshly plowed soil. So, do not be deeply afraid of your own tears. Let them flow naturally, washing away the heavy, gray dust of the past, making clear, quiet space for a profoundly beautiful, entirely unseen future. You are quietly standing on the very edge of a massive, beautiful transformation, even if you cannot clearly see the gentle horizon just yet. As you slowly walk this quiet, deeply personal path of healing, constantly practice immense, radical gentleness toward yourself. The modern world is extremely harsh, highly demanding, and deeply critical. You do not need to carry that harsh, noisy voice inside your own, quiet head. When you make a small, clumsy mistake, or when you gently slide back into a dark, sad mood, speak to yourself with the same, immense tenderness you would offer a small, frightened kitten, shivering in the cold rain. You would not angrily yell at the kitten for being deeply afraid. You would gently wrap it in a warm, soft towel, and hold it closely, until the quiet shivering naturally stopped. Be that deeply warm, incredibly comforting towel, for your own, tired soul. Wrap your painful, bruised heart, in a thick, gentle layer of pure compassion. Tell yourself, over and over again, in a soft, steady whisper, that you are doing your absolute best, and that your absolute best is perfectly, beautifully enough. The journey from the deep, dark valley, up toward the warm, sunlit peaks, is composed of millions of tiny, almost invisible, gentle steps. Every single time you choose to take a slow, deep breath, instead of completely panicking, you are taking a beautiful, courageous step. Every single time you choose to drink a warm glass of water, to gently nourish your exhausted body, you are silently declaring your profound will to live. These tiny, quiet choices slowly accumulate into a massive, unshakable mountain of deep resilience. You might not see the beautiful progress today, or even tomorrow. But one quiet day, you will gently turn around, and deeply realize how far you have actually climbed. You will look down at the dark, heavy valley, where you once lay totally broken, and you will feel a profound, silent wave of deep awe. You will realize that the person who survived that terrifying darkness is incredibly strong, deeply wise, and profoundly beautiful. The Dharma gently promises that your suffering is never, ever wasted, if you use it as a powerful, quiet fuel for your own spiritual awakening. Let us gently explore another deeply inspiring, ancient memory about a fiercely dedicated monk named Kakupala. He was a highly determined, incredibly sincere practitioner, who took a very strict, heavy vow to never lie down to sleep, continuously meditating through the long, dark nights. However, his physical eyes became severely infected, causing him intense, burning agony. The skilled doctors gently advised him to lie down and rest his eyes, softly warning him that he would completely lose his sight if he stubbornly continued. But Kakupala, deeply valuing his spiritual practice above all worldly things, refused to break his quiet, noble vow. Eventually, the heavy, tragic inevitable happened. His physical eyes completely failed, plunging him into total, permanent, terrifying darkness. He hit a profound, physical rock bottom, unable to ever see the bright, beautiful sun, or the gentle, smiling faces of his fellow monks again. But in that exact moment of absolute, physical blindness, his pure, internal vision, completely opened wide. By fully accepting the dark, heavy reality of his lost sight, without a single trace of bitter anger, he instantly broke all the heavy chains of worldly attachment, reaching the ultimate, shining state of profound awakening. His physical darkness became the exact, beautiful catalyst for his eternal, brilliant inner light. Friends, when you lose something incredibly precious, whether it is a highly valued relationship, your physical health, or your hard-earned financial stability, the world suddenly feels terribly dark. You might feel exactly like Kakupala, completely blind to any future happiness, stumbling awkwardly in a terrifying, unfamiliar space. But the gentle, profound teachings deeply assure you that true, lasting vision does not require physical eyes. When the bright, distracting lights of the external world are completely shut off, your quiet, internal awareness naturally becomes incredibly sharp. You begin to clearly see the deep, underlying truth of impermanence, gently understanding that everything in this fragile world is constantly, quietly shifting. This deep, quiet understanding is the most profound, beautiful light you could ever possibly possess. It gently illuminates your dark, heavy path, softly guiding your tired feet away from the sharp thorns of desperate clinging, toward the soft, green grass of total acceptance. You are never truly lost, friends, as long as you can simply feel the gentle, rhythmic beating of your own heart. That quiet, steady heartbeat is a profound, beautiful drum, silently playing the ancient, magnificent song of deep resilience, constantly reminding you that your journey is not over, and that magnificent, unseen chapters are still quietly waiting to be beautifully written in the vast, open book of your beautiful life. This beautiful life, friends, is constantly unfolding, page by gentle page, even when the ink seems incredibly dark, and the words feel deeply heavy. You do not need to rush to read the entire story in a single, exhausted night. When your eyes are tired, and your heart is deeply bruised, the most profound, deeply spiritual thing you can do is simply close the book for a little while and allow yourself to gently breathe. You see, the mind has a deeply ingrained habit of constantly searching for the next chapter, always demanding to know exactly how the story will turn out. But true peace is found by softly resting in the quiet, uncertain space of the current, unfolding moment. It is deeply okay to sit in the quiet void, completely unknown and entirely unresolved. Let us softly step back into the ancient, dusty paths to hear a truly beautiful, profoundly moving story about a deeply devoted attendant named Ananda. Ananda had spent his entire adult life, 25 long, beautiful years, walking gently behind the awakened one, completely dedicating his entire existence to serving his beloved teacher. He was deeply loved by everyone, known for his incredible memory, and his incredibly gentle, caring heart. But unlike many other senior monks, Ananda had not yet reached the ultimate, unshakable state of complete awakening. He was still deeply human, still carrying fragile attachments, and still deeply prone to worldly sorrow. When the heavy, inevitable time came for the Buddha to finally pass away, into ultimate peace, Ananda was completely, utterly devastated. He walked away from the peaceful gathering, leaned his tired head against a heavy wooden door frame, and wept with a profound, agonizing sorrow. He felt entirely abandoned, entirely lost, plunging into a deep, terrifying rock bottom. He truly believed that his greatest, most profound spiritual support was gone forever, leaving him completely alone, in a vast, empty world. The heavy grief completely consumed his gentle heart, making him feel like a total, miserable failure, having served the highest teacher for decades, without achieving his own, final liberation. After the Buddha passed, a massive, highly important gathering of enlightened monks was carefully arranged. Ananda deeply, desperately wanted to attend, but only those who had reached full awakening were allowed to enter the sacred assembly. He had only one, single, highly exhausting night, to achieve the ultimate goal. Ananda pushed his tired, grieving body, to the absolute, breaking limit. He meditated fiercely, walking back and forth, throughout the entire, dark night, desperately forcing his mind, to reach the high, distant peak of enlightenment. But the harder he fiercely pushed, the further the quiet peace seemed to slip away. His mind was deeply clouded, with heavy exhaustion, and anxious fear. As the dark night, slowly began to fade, into the soft, early dawn, Ananda felt entirely defeated. His physical body was completely drained of all its vital energy, and his mind was totally, completely exhausted. He realized, with a deep, heavy sigh, that he simply could not force it. He decided, in a moment of pure, complete surrender, to simply rest his aching body. He slowly went to his quiet room, and began to gently lower himself, onto his simple, hard bed. In that exact, tiny fraction of a second, when his tired feet lifted from the dusty floor, and before his exhausted head completely touched the soft pillow, something incredibly magnificent happened. In that tiny, quiet space of total, complete letting go, where all his fierce striving, and all his desperate clinging, entirely vanished, his mind completely opened. He attained the profound, ultimate awakening, right there in mid-air, not through fierce, forced effort, but through absolute, total surrender. He hit his absolute, deepest point of physical and mental exhaustion, and simply stopped fighting. Friends, this highly profound, beautiful story, holds a magnificent, deeply comforting truth, for your tired, aching soul today. When you are sitting at the absolute, dusty bottom, your mind desperately wants to fight, to climb, to fiercely fix the broken pieces. But sometimes, the most powerful, deeply transformative action, is simply laying your heavy head, softly on the pillow. You do not need to figure out your entire, complex life, today. You do not need to force yourself, to feel completely happy, or deeply peaceful, right in this exact, painful second. The profound, beautiful state of healing, arrives quietly, exactly when you stop demanding, that it strictly follow your heavy, anxious schedule. When you completely surrender to your own exhaustion, acknowledging that you simply cannot fight the heavy waves anymore, the vast, quiet ocean of deep awareness, gently rises up, to safely support your floating body. You are completely allowed, to feel deeply tired, friends. The modern world, constantly glorifies endless productivity, strictly demanding that you always wear a bright, fake smile, perfectly hiding your deep, messy struggles. But you do not have to perform, for the noisy, demanding crowd, anymore. When you retreat into your own, quiet space, gently take off the heavy, suffocating armor, you have been wearing all day. Let your tired shoulders softly drop. Let your tense, aching jaw gently relax. Allow the natural, quiet rhythm of your own, soft breath, to be the only thing you focus on in this entire, vast universe. Breathe in deeply, softly gathering the fresh, healing energy of the present moment. Breathe out slowly, gently releasing the heavy, dark tension from your deeply exhausted muscles. Every single, mindful breath is a tiny, beautiful act of pure, profound self-love. You are silently telling your bruised, frightened heart that it is entirely safe, right here, in this quiet, peaceful room. Let us gently turn our attention to another beautiful, very quiet teaching, given to a young monk named Meghiya. Meghiya was deeply eager to meditate and find perfect, quiet peace. One day, he saw a highly beautiful, perfectly quiet mango grove, situated beautifully beside a soft, flowing river. He was completely convinced that this highly perfect, absolutely beautiful environment was exactly what he needed to reach deep, undisturbed peace. He asked the Buddha for permission to go there, but the awakened one, seeing that Meghiya's mind was not yet mature enough, gently asked him to wait. But Meghiya, fiercely stubborn, and deeply certain that a beautiful location would magically fix his internal unrest, respectfully insisted, and eventually went to the quiet grove alone. He sat down beneath a large, beautiful mango tree, expecting a profound, instantly peaceful meditation. But almost immediately, his unprotected mind was heavily bombarded by completely dark, highly disturbing, deeply anxious thoughts. He was fiercely attacked by memories of past desires, heavy thoughts of angry malice, and a deep, terrifying sense of cruelty. The beautiful, quiet mango grove instantly became a dark, terrifying prison inside his own mind. He was completely overwhelmed, hitting a deeply frustrating rock bottom, totally unable to find even a single, tiny second of peace, despite being in the most physically beautiful, highly perfect place. Utterly defeated, he slowly walked back to the awakened one, deeply ashamed, and softly confessed his complete failure. The Buddha did not harshly scold him, but gently explained that a completely untrained, deeply fragile mind cannot be instantly fixed, simply by changing the external scenery. The Buddha softly taught Meghiya that true, deep stability requires the gentle, steady cultivation of completely wholesome qualities, like deep mindfulness, pure ethical conduct, and keeping the company of deeply wise, gentle friends. Friends, this deeply beautiful story perfectly mirrors a very common, heavy struggle in the modern world. When you hit rock bottom, your desperate mind often tells you that if you could just move to a new city, get a completely new job, or find a brand new relationship, all your deep, heavy pain would magically disappear. You constantly search for your own perfect mango grove, believing that external changes will instantly cure your deep, internal sorrow. But true, lasting healing is an inside job, gently performed in the quiet, messy, imperfect reality of your current life. You do not need a completely perfect, quiet environment to begin finding peace. You only need to gently, softly turn your attention to the exact, highly imperfect place where you are sitting right now. Notice the small, quiet things around you. Notice the simple, solid feeling of the chair gently supporting your weight. Notice the soft, quiet hum of the air moving through the room. These tiny, completely ordinary details are the strong, gentle anchors that keep your highly anxious mind from constantly flying away into the terrifying, unknown future or sinking deeply into the painful, dark past. By simply remaining right here, in the deeply messy, highly imperfect present moment, you are slowly, beautifully training your tired mind to find total safety within itself. You are gently building an inner, quiet refuge, made of profound, unshakable awareness. This quiet refuge cannot be destroyed by heavy, financial ruin, it cannot be washed away by the deep, bitter tears of a broken relationship, and it completely remains, even when your physical body feels deeply sick and incredibly weak. It is the purest, most highly sacred space, within your entire being, constantly glowing with a soft, warm light, even in the absolute, darkest depths of your despair. When the heavy waves of deep sadness softly wash over you, friends, do not clench your fists, and try to fiercely fight the vast ocean. Simply allow yourself to float gently on the dark surface, deeply trusting that the water will eventually carry you to a completely safe, quiet shore. There is a deeply profound, ancient wisdom in completely embracing your own, soft vulnerability. When you openly admit that you are deeply hurting, you instantly drop the heavy, exhausting burden of trying to appear fiercely strong. You give yourself the beautiful, gentle permission to be a fully breathing, deeply feeling human being, completely susceptible to the vast, unpredictable weather of this complex world. As you slowly walk out of the dark valley, taking very small, highly gentle steps, you will softly begin to notice a profound, beautiful shift in your own perspective. The things that used to deeply anger you, or cause you immense, heavy anxiety, will slowly lose their sharp, biting edge. You will look at a completely broken, highly difficult situation, and instead of fiercely reacting with heavy despair, you will softly ask yourself, what gentle, hidden lesson is this quiet moment trying to teach me? This beautiful, soft curiosity entirely replaces the heavy, rigid judgments of the past. You slowly become a very gentle, highly compassionate observer of your own, deeply fascinating life. You will softly begin to extend this massive, beautiful compassion to every single person you meet. When someone is deeply rude, or fiercely unkind to you, you will no longer take it personally, fiercely fighting back with dark anger. You will clearly see, with your new, highly softened eyes, that their harsh words are simply a reflection of their own, deep, hidden rock bottom. You will silently send them a soft, gentle wish for peace, deeply knowing that everyone is quietly fighting a massive, highly exhausting battle, completely unseen by the external world. This deep, shared understanding softly weaves a beautiful, invisible thread of connection, completely uniting your healing heart with the vast, aching heart of the entire human family. Please remember, my dear friends, that hitting the absolute bottom is not the tragic, final end of your beautiful story. It is merely the deeply messy, highly uncomfortable space, where the old, broken pieces of your life are slowly completely cleared away, gently making room for a completely fresh, highly beautiful new beginning. The profound, ancient teachings of the Dharma constantly assure you that your true, shining nature is completely indestructible. It is exactly like the vast, clear blue sky, totally untouched by the dark, heavy storm clouds that temporarily pass through. The dark clouds of your current sorrow will inevitably break, slowly dissolving into the vast, open space, gently allowing the bright, warm sun to softly touch your face once again. Keep breathing deeply, softly trusting the deeply quiet, natural rhythm of your own healing process. Do not rush, do not fiercely demand, and do not harshly judge your own, tired soul. Treat yourself with the same, immense, profound kindness you would offer to a highly cherished, deeply loved friend. Every single time you softly inhale, you are gently gathering the beautiful, vital energy of the present moment. Every single time you softly exhale, you are deeply releasing a tiny fraction of the heavy, painful past. You are a deeply magnificent, completely resilient, and beautifully unfolding expression of life, quietly walking step by step toward your own, profound, unshakable peace.